Let's go to Lance now in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's listening on Sirius XM 131. Hi, Lance.
Hi, good to talk with you. So you're largely responsible for bringing me to Christ 25 years ago, and I'm really blessed now to say that I'm a Christian and can have a Christian prayer list to keep you on. So I wish you 100% recovery. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lance.
So I think the short answer to my question is that God is sovereign and he can do what he would like, but I'm struggling with why, if God was so displeased with humanity, he elected to destroy humanity with a flood rather than choose a more humane method to start all over.
Yeah, I am not in the position of being able to question God. His words, his ways are beyond my ken. I can tell you, after living the Christian life for many, many years, that I simply trust God in all of his judgments, that his judgments are always true, they're just, and they're merciful, because God sees things that we do not see. We see but a momentary flash. God sees the panoply of our lives. I go back to a testimony, and I'll finish answering the question after this little anecdote, but the testimony of a woman who had the exact same disease I did. She's in remission now. And she made a statement that was almost impossible for me to fathom. She said to me, if God would take me through this travail and trial and tear again, I would gladly follow him, because what has come out of this is something that I treasure. Now, no one would ever think that. I'm going to go through a valley, and it's in the valley that the deep waters of refreshing reside. It is in the valley that oftentimes you are pruned. But when you think about it, you think, why in the world would God ever take somebody through something like that? It doesn't make any sense. All I have to do is touch the hem of his garment, and the healing virtue would flow into me, and I wouldn't have to go get a blood transfusion tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense. I see every step of the way opportunities for witness. I see every step of the way a dependence on the Lord. But what had happened to people? Well, the biblical text actually says that the Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, that every inclination of his thoughts, of his heart, were only evil. Only evil. All the time. Think about that. The only inclination of the heart was only evil, only all the time. And so the Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. Now imagine that. God has created humanity, and he's created humanity for fellowship with him. He's created humanity, as Abraham was, to be friends of God. And instead, the hearts of men had turned to self-adulation, to worship of Satan, and to constant sin so egregious that if we were to be the judge, we may have said even worse. You see people today talking about other people and saying hell would be too good a punishment for that person. In other words, not even hell would satisfy the evil that person. That's our judgment. But God sees everything perfectly. And so God's judgments are always righteous and just and perfect. And out of this situation, he saved 8 persons in all through the waters of the flood. And he created a meta-narrative in which there'd be a second Adam to redeem all those who reach out to his mercy and his grace. And that is inviolate. And that's why we have Paul saying, from one man God chose every nation of men that they should inhabit the whole earth. He determined exact times and places that they should live. And he did that so men might reach out for him and find him, though he's not far from each one of us. God's ways are inscrutable. His ways are perfect. And so I leave this matter in the hands of the Lord, but the text says it all. Men were only wicked in their thoughts all of the time. This was God's judgment. I rest my case with God.